Welcome back. All right, so surviving a small plane crash is one thing, but surviving in the Amazon with no food or water is what some might call a miracle.
Yeah, 4 children all on board a single-engine plane that crashed in the jungle were found alive after missing for nearly 40 days. But there are still a lot of questions about the crash and about their survival.
A plane crash, all the adults dead. Miraculously, 4 children survive, including an 11-month-old baby. 40 terrifying days alone in the Amazon until a miraculous rescue. But that's just the beginning of the story.
TMZ is on the ground chronicling the crash, the search, and also the rescue, and some very puzzling events.
Yeah, so joining us this morning with more on the special is TMZ's Harvey Levin. Good morning to you.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, good. So Harvey, what's the biggest question that you had going into this investigation?
Well, going into the investigation, I just wanted to understand how these kids survived, because it really is a miracle. Survived twice, survived a plane crash that killed all the adults, including their mom. And then how did 4 kids ages 13, 9, 4, and 11 months survive an unforgiving jungle where death is, literally lurking at every turn? How did they do that? So that was the question we had going into this a week ago Saturday when the kids were found. What we didn't expect to find were questions that are mind-boggling. For example, days before these kids, days before they were found by the rescuers, those rescuers were in earshot of the kids. They were screaming for the kids. The kids were hiding from the rescuers. These are kids who were hungry and hurt, and yet they were hiding from them. Why? So what we found out was there is a whole thing with a guerrilla group in that area that the father had actually fled from, because the guerrilla group had targeted the family, and the father had actually gone to another location. His family was actually flying to him to get away from them when the plane crashed. So a lot of people are wondering, is there something involving this guerrilla group where they may have had the kids, or the kids were afraid that those rescuers might have actually been guerrillas who were going to kill them? And the president of Colombia factors into all of this. Right. So there is a mystery underneath this miracle that is absolutely fascinating.
That's what I was going to ask you next, about the politics behind this rescue as well.
Yeah, I mean, the president of Colombia, Melvin, the president of Colombia, 2 weeks before the kids were found, announced, "We found the kids." Well, they didn't. And the next day, he took it back and said, "Oops, I made a mistake." Well, there are a lot of people we spoke to there who are saying that it is kind of odd that this guerrilla group was at war with the government. And the very day these kids were found, on June 9th, a week ago Saturday, the president of Colombia struck a peace accord with this guerrilla group. So was that coincidence, or was that a quid pro quo to get the kids back? So that's what some of the people there are thinking.
Harvey, you're in the Hollywood pipeline, obviously. I mean, this is a movie in the making. I mean, do you know if anybody is going to be tackling this?
Well, we've been too busy working on the documentary to know. I would be shocked if that doesn't happen. But I got to tell you something, speaking of Hollywood, these kids are celebrities in Colombia now. They really are certified celebrities. And with that come opportunities for sure. But it creates a problem that nobody expected. In Colombia, ransom is currency. And there are a lot of guerrilla groups that kidnap people for ransom. These kids now have a price tag on their heads that make them ripe for kidnapping. It's something the government is really concerned about, we found out. There's an issue now of where they're going to live, who they're going to live with, but protecting these kids has become an unexpected issue that really looms very, very large right now.
Well, of course, all the trauma on the back end of this as a result of what these kids and the family have experienced.
I mean, when you think about it, the 13-year-old who became the leader of the pack, by the way, The 13-year-old, after the plane crash, had to go up to the front of the plane and take the baby out of her dead mother's arms. So when you think about the psychological, the emotional trauma that these kids have gone through, on top of the fact that we haven't even talked about this yet, but there's a huge custody war brewing between the father and the maternal grandparents. These kids have a lot to deal with still.
Oh, I mean, the politics aside, the legal issues aside, the thing that really matters is this miracle that they all somehow managed to survive this. Thank you, Harvey.
Thanks, Harvey.
It's amazing. Yeah. It is just amazing. So it's on tonight at 8 o'clock on Fox. I got to tell you, I've covered a lot of stories. This one blows me away.
Fascinating. Thank you, Harvey.
You, sir.